So I'm going to bore you for a few minutes with a presentation, but it's very brief, and it'll have some numbers, and it will sort of tee up the conversation, and we'll get into questions. Okay, so the land-based RAS boom in the balance. So here's the commercial. Last year, we published a report on salmon exclusively in August 2020, and we compiled data for the first time on projects around the world. And both Spheric, which is my company, and Undercurrent News are, as a collaboration, publishing a report very shortly in the coming weeks on all species. So here's the results that we came up with. We found 197 facilities around the world. This is both operational and future. And these are, how did we count this number? We've been looking at this space since about 2017, and just basically first-hand information, market intelligence, industry reports, and we've just been, tracking this space quite closely. And for the first time, we've included other species. It's quite one of the surprises when we compiled this year's reports and we looked at other species for the first time, was the fact that most of the future projects are in salmon. And in actual fact, when it comes to other species, there are a number of facilities that are in operation, but we found very few projects under development. And we looked at the shrimp space for the first time, and we found quite a number of projects around the world. Again, this puts it a little bit into a different perspective, but you can see that the two big aquaculture species that are the high value species that are sold into Europe and North America especially, those are really dominating this data. But there are other species that are up and coming as well. So I guess this is not that surprising for anybody who looked at last year's report. Norway, in actual fact, has many projects, as well as the US. I guess the trend here is that most of these projects are being developed in high population, wealthier countries, and close to urban centers of consumption. But as well, we do see some projects in countries that are aquaculture producers. So there's been a big push in Norway to get licenses to develop land-based facilities. This year, we were able to look at the salmon space for the first time. And I have to point out a mistake that we have in our data with the operative facilities. It's meant to be 32 rising to 34. But we've counted 25 new projects since our August 2020 publication. We also took away 3 projects that have gone dormant, where there's no noticeable sign of funding or any type of traction. Shrimp seems to be a very exciting space. I spoke to our panelists on our preparatory calls, and Erik was telling me about the shrimp space as well. Now, in our count, we found 16 projects from Homegrown Shrimp. This is the company owned by CP Foods, a subsidiary that's starting up one facility in the US, but it's looking to build a franchising model. So that it actually counts for a lot of those projects. We found 12 operating projects, but many of these are at a pilot stage. So, not much production now versus actual installed capacity. And that's a story we see repeated in all other species, where the big ask is, do these projects get to the nameplate densities? And then again, once again, we found some projects for other species. And one of the questions I've been asking people in the industry is, is RAS exclusively for high value species? Because that's what seems to be the case. And in actual fact, it's quite interesting. One of the comments from somebody at Aquamouth that I spoke to said that even low value species can be an interesting prospect for RAS, because they're quite robust, catfish, for example, and they can thrive at higher densities. So thanks for listening to that. The report is available soon, and it's also, besides the data, there's a lot of insights that we get from conversations with executives in this industry, and we have profiles for all of the projects. Thanks for listening.